got time. All right, so using that outside rein, feel like you're bumping his shoulders around. So think my outside elbow comes back towards my hip. Be like, move. And your outside knee is going to support a little bit. There you go. That's it.
Still kind of heavy on his outside shoulder.
Right, and he's not going to be very light on the shoulder because then he has to do more work, right? So it's us kind of reinforcing it with these reminders. We're not going to expect him to be light and Grand Prix ready, shockingly, but we are going to expect him to start to be a little bit more responsive to that outside rein. That's it. And keep his own posture. All right, so he has to have this good posture. He can't just kind of lounge around. Good. And he doesn't believe it, but it is for his own good.
He's like, it's all right with you. I'm much more comfortable with my head way up here.
Right, or counterbending, right? Because he's like, if I could get you to hold on to part of this, I don't have to do it all. There you go. Good. So if it feels like he's pushing through your outside rein, use that 10-meter circle to get him balanced again. Right? Because it's these transitions between shoulder in, circle, corners that are going to help keep him a little bit more together. Good. And it's okay for him to struggle, but we want to set our expectations a little bit higher for him because he can meet them now. There we go. That's it. That's it. Right there. Good. Good. That's right. So you can feel how he started to line his body up a little bit better there. Good. All right. When you're ready, let's see our canter. That's right. Start from a good trot. He's hoping that you didn't really mean it.
It's like it feels like you're getting ready to get me into a can. I'm going to throw my head out and put my shoulder in.
Exactly. We want to keep, there you go. We want to keep the good balance and then ask for the canter. Good. A little bit of a head toss into the canter, but I like the transition up. Don't fall off. That's my professional advice. All right, so let's pick up our canter. We'll just do 2 or 3 circles, right? We're not going to ask anything too complicated until he's a little bit more warmed up with it. There you go, good. That's okay, that's why we're here. And every time we change his balance at the trot, he's going to say, I can't possibly translate that to the next gear.
And again, it depends on the day, too.
Right.
Yesterday, he was so soft and supple, and Adele says, oh, it's going to be just like that tomorrow. I'm like, we'll see what happens.
Well, and then he's going to be a little sore from being so good on one day, right? Just like us, if we work really hard one day, we're a little sore and tight the next. Well, that's nice. Good. That's right. So let's do 2 more circles, and then we'll come down to the trot, change out of the circle, and warm up our canter the other way. Try to keep his neck just a little bit straighter, even in the canter. Let's do that one again. That was a little bit disintegrating, right? Yeah.
I saw him, and I'm like, quite honestly, too tired to fight with him.
Okay.
Didn't get much sleep last night.
Caro says, me neither. let's see, one nice circle. Trying to keep his, that was nice. Keep his neck just a little bit straighter. And then when you're ready, you own that downward. And then we'll change direction. Make sure it's your idea.
Do what?
When you're ready, you ask for the downward. Make sure it's your idea. Then we'll change out of the circle. And warm up our canter the other way. There you go. And let's go straight. Move your circle around. I can fit you in at 1 o'clock or 5 p.m. today, period. And we are planning on going to the horse show April 3rd, period. There we go. And then when you're ready, let's do our transition down and change out of the circle again. There you go. Try to keep your outside elbow a little bit more anchored into your hip. There you go. That way he gets to follow us and we don't have to follow him quite as much. Right? All right. So when you're ready, let's go straight ahead. We're going to do a circle in each corner of the arena.
All right, say that one more time.
So when you're ready, we'll go straight ahead, and then we'll do a circle in each corner in the arena as we go around.
Okay. So
Okay.
no diagonals.
No diagonal, not yet. We'll work up to that.
All right, we're going to go this way. This is all the time.
But what I want to see is that when we go straight, we can keep his neck in the middle of his chest. Today is a big straightness day. There we go. Just try to limit his neck bend. That's going to force him to move his shoulders a little bit more. Good. See, this is lovely right here. Looks like a little show horse. That's okay. Regroup. Pick up the canter. There we go. Outside rein limits his neck bend. All right, so we're asking him to take on a more grown-up canter by steering from the shoulders and not leaning through the neck. Good, and you'll see on the video that he gets a little bit more uphill the straighter his neck is, because then his shoulders have to come around to make the turn instead of him leaning through it quite as much, which is, of course, harder for him and us. Good. All right, at the end of this circle, come down to your trot, change directions. Let's do it the other way. There you go. Try to keep that neck straight, keeping the flexion through the jaw. Poor Taro. He looks so tired. Good. So we'll do one of our circle straight, and then we'll let him take a quick walk break before we make it harder. There you go. Thinking about that outside rein, staying a little bit off of his neck. So that way he can't lean his shoulder into it. There. Good there. So right as he was really, really good, that's when he's going to break, because he says this is too hard. No horse can ever do this. And you'll see it on the video that he gives you 3 steps that are really, really nice, and then he just kind of collapses. But that's pretty normal. And it turns out all of this stuff is hard. Good, right there. Well, that looks really nice. Now think about sinking your inside seat bone to help him make this turn. Outside rein gives a little half halt, half halt, half halt, half halt. So whenever his mane is in the air, that's when we can influence that turn, because that's when he's pushing off of that outside hind. He's like, I may die. There you go. All right, so let him take a quick walk break, then we're going to make it a little bit harder. Yeah, he's going to hide over there with you guys. He's like tagging Zeus.
What time?
15 minutes.
He must have run out of gas today too, because I'm like really tight with him today.
Well, and he doesn't look bad, right? We're just asking him to be a little bit better. So we want that 10% improvement, which is way harder than that first 50%, because he's mostly correct.
Yeah.
So now we're just taking his little crutches away.
He thinks he's at good enough.
Exactly. And we want him to be great, not good enough. It is hard work. And make sure it's a big walk, right? So even there you go.
I want to get good at this.
There was a time that this would have been out of his reach. But look at what a nice, calm horse he's turned into. Yeah, every so often.
I jinxed myself yesterday because I told Adele, man, he's so soft and supple, and he's so used to doing everything I want. And Adele says, good, it'll be just like that tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's a different day, right, Voltaro?
Well, and remember, I'm always going to push you guys like just a little bit harder than your horse and you want to be pushed. I charge extra for the lessons where I just tell you how great you are. So I was going to say, I should probably list that price. I'd make a lot more money. For $150, we'll only ask you to do things you're good at.
And his mouth is so soft.
He is, and he's really trying to get the balance, right? Because it is harder. Because if he takes his neck too far over, he's able to put more weight on one shoulder or the other. If he comes centered, then it comes back to his haunches.
Well, he could actually try harder on the balancing part. At least today. Yesterday he was like tap dancing or like a ballerina.
Good.
He was really light on his feet. Today he's just can't get his balance.
He says it's just so hard. All right, so what we're going to do is up at C, we're going to do a nice big figure 8. So it's 2 20-ish meter circles, one at M, one at H. And we'll do it at the trot first, and then we are going to do this at the canter with a simple change over the center line. Well, right, because then he's like, I can put more weight in my chest instead of my bum. when we do our change of direction, I want you to think I have 3 steps that are straight up that center line at C when you're changing your bend. So right now we're going to go from left bend, and then on the center line we'll go straight 2, 3, and then right bend. Right? That way it's a little bit more planned out. That's it. So that he says, oh, my rider has exactly, or knows exactly what we're going to be doing. There you go, good. Because the straight strides are important because that keeps our horses and us more honest in our change of bend so they don't get to lean through it. And we don't get to lean through it. All right, so when you're ready, let's see this at the canter. So when we do this at the canter, your straight steps up the center line are going to be your trot or walk transition. That was a nice upward. The nice thing about where we're putting this is you're going to be able to see which direction he throws his body when you watch this back. There you go, then straight, 2, 3, and up. Good. And our goal is that we get this nice straight transition up the center line. It's always a work in progress, but it's going to keep us honest into which way is our horse throwing his body. Right there, he threw it everywhere. That's okay.
That's what I gotta fight so hard.
Let's try it again.
I will. All I'm saying is that's what he does.
Well, and what if you move your circle down a little bit so you have more room to come up the center line? I'm trying to make it so that you don't run into your camera here in the middle, but it's nice to get this straight shot so that we can tell where our horses are leading.
And it's just his right to park because he really dives to the center line.
Right, it's going to be his weaker side. And I do like this switching back and forth kind of exercise for it because then our horses go, oh, it's not always hard, only sometimes. And it tends to make our horses more even. There you go, good. Better? So the upward was better. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll get it. It feels like we're going back to the fundamentals, but I think we kind of need it.
Well, and what it is now we're able to control more of the big picture stuff, so now we have to get the little baby stuff in there too. Because we're no longer worried that he's going to just take off down the long side, so now we're going to be pickier, or get the wrong lead. Now we're going to be pickier in how he does things.
No way he's getting away with that. I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes making sure he doesn't like it. He can't throw his head up. He can't go dive into the middle.
Exactly. Right, but there was a time that, there you go, good answer. Even if you do these 10-meter circles into your canter, that's okay. But I mean, there was a time he didn't pick this lead up at all, so. Right, and so we are going back to some basics, but that's because we had to get the big pictures first, and now we can get the little details. Better. Turns out that we never really escape the basics. They're always there. Whenever anything goes wrong, it's usually one of the basic things. There you go. So that one was better. He was a little bit counterbent through the neck, but he was straighter through the whole body, right? So when he wants to dive around, it's always in his shoulders. That's why I like this view of him moving away from the camera so that you don't get as distracted by what his head and neck are doing. Because if we control the body and the balance in the body, the head and neck will fall into place. Right? And that's easy to say and hard to do because when you're riding it, you feel like you have to hold him up because he wants to dive to the inside or dive to the outside so much.
compensating.
Good.
For him wanting to dive that way,
Uh-huh.
pointed more that way.
Right, but that comes from your lower body, not your head. There you go.
That's kind of all I'm doing that way.
All right, so when he wants to dive to the right, I want you to think that your right hip is going to point out towards the power lines. That way your hip, knee, ankle are kind of blocking that dive. Because that way it happens from our seat and not from our upper body. Right? We don't want our horses to train us to contort out of their way. We want to train them to leave us alone. And I've found if we try to steer with our hip bones, it makes a huge difference in our seat awareness. Right? So that when I'm teaching people to canter on a straight line, we go from our hip pointing the direction, around the circle to pointing straight. And it's not so much that we move our hip, it's that our thigh is blocking. But by thinking about where your hip bone is pointing, that's right, it engages the whole lower body. Because we can't move one thing in a vacuum. That's not quite how we're built. Better. The canter left is really nice right there. Into 3 parts. I make a big half circle. I go straight up the center line in the trot or walk. There you go. Straight, 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 and then down. Good. So that way he's not able to anticipate that he's going to throw his body to the right. Right? Really commit in your brain. We don't want to get too far ahead because our horses can hear that. So if our hamster's running too quickly, our horses are going to skip a step. From the circle to that straight center line. There you go. Good. That was a little abrupt, right?
I know what I'm working on this week. It's the first 5 feet of the transition. This circle could be the whole arena. It's that when I give him that cue to do a nice departure in the right lead, he just like falls.
Yeah, it's the anticipation in the transition. So what I'd like to see you do is because the left lead is more malleable. So what we're going to do is you're going to bring your canter circle, make it an oval. We're going to come down to about here. That way we have 10 steps which is straight. And as soon as you feel him starting to lean to the right, turn back to the left.
All right.
Okay? I'm going to move so I'm not the only thing on the camera.
And the steps down the middle is a trot or walk.
You can do whatever gait you want. What I would start with is just the canter so that you can say, oh, we're going straight. I don't have to worry about diving back to the right. But what we will do eventually, actually, let's do it now, is you're going to canter this loop, trot straight to C, canter the loop, trot straight to C. Right? And if he's very straight at C, then you can canter the right. But make that kind of a game time call when you're there. If you feel him starting to lean through you, go left.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yep.
So when we have horses that are trying to anticipate, we have to be a little more fluid with our exercises. There you go. Now straight to C. Straight, 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 straight. Very good. Because riding that straight line is really hard, right? Go. And this time trot. really hard.
Okay, I'll show you the video later. That's not a straight
That
trot.
was not
but
that
you know
straight of
that.
a line. There you go. Straight, straight, straight. That's up where you're going. There you go. Right, he knows we're trying to trick him, and we will here in a minute.
He was like, he had his own mind what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he didn't care what I thought.
There you go. Now look left. That was much better.
I got to get him into the trot and go straight.
Yep. Don't even think about the turn, right? Just think I trot straight to C as if I'm going to jump that fence and go straight out of it.
He's running right through that turn. I'm going to try one more.
Yep.
I want to get him down the center line, but he's got all his weight on the outside. See that?
Yep, I do. There you go.
See? Yeah.
I see it. You do it at the trot.
Yes, he
Just
does
like
have
Sue.
some brains.
He's totally anticipating
Yep.
the cue to do everything.
He is.
The minute we come over here, his whole body is like leaning on this side.
Right, because he's like, if I get really heavy, then you can't make me sit back on my butt.
Right.
So,
Say what?
let's do this once at the trot. Don't even ask for the canter yet. That we're just going to do this big loop at the trot and halt before you get to C. Anywhere on that center line. Ask him to halt as soon as he's leaning. So when they start to anticipate, we just keep changing the rules of the game.
Yeah.
I don't mind a little anticipation when we're learning something new, but he does have to. Now the trot is much nicer. You know, looking straight up at C. Don't even think through the turn yet. Think I'm going to trot right over that fence and halt. Good. Nice halt too.
Square.
Yeah. All right, let's trot on. Track left. Do that one more time. Gotta get the horse to wait on us. It's easy to say and super frustrating to do. There you go. Drop that elbow in. Right. Now we're gonna halt. Nice and straight. Good halt. Alright, so this time we're gonna take off and go to the right. I don't care if you do it at the trot, I don't care if you do it at the canter. There we go, good. The same thing, we're gonna make this big kind of lobe down here, so we're riding a set of lungs. Then up that center line. And halt anywhere you want to put it. Making it nice and straight. Good. Alright, so this time we're going to track right, and I want you to ask for the canter as you track right. I think I'm going to go all the way to C, start my turn, and canter. There you go. And now come all the way down my long side here. There you go. That's it. So that way you go, oh shoot, it's not a circle. Good. Better, better. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean he's got the canter just getting into it.
He does, and that's so when
Yeah.
we changed the rules a little bit, right? Did you feel how he had a little more weight to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think-
if he wasn't as tired, how I would do this exercise is going up the center line and doing circles or loops of various sizes, right? So-
each way.
And, yep. And then when you
With-
feel the
with
anticipation, go the opposite way.
With halts in between.
Yep. You
Well,
put.
I think
just-
this was a good lesson because we got a couple of like fundamentals that we got to work on.
Right. Well, and what it is it's reminding him of the fundamentals, even though he can do the other stuff.
Right.
Right? We want to always keep those fundamentals in our mind that, oh, he's got to be straight. Oh, he has to start carrying more behind. And it's never a step back because we never escape the fundamentals, right? Because they're always there. And when anything goes wrong, it's probably our fundamentals.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my goodness.
But yesterday he was better just for today, and this is like horses, right?
Yep.
For today he's very tense.
Right.
About
Well,
the right
and part of
lead.
it is he knows that
just his brain. 'Cause
Well-
yesterday he was doing a nice, and all last couple of weeks he's been doing a relatively nice departure into the right canter. But today, for some reason, if we're going to work on it, and he knows we're going to work on it, he just falls apart.
Right.
Well,
'Cause
and it
it's
was just
hard.
today too.
And
Just
that's
today.
fine. Yeah. And I will
So-
say, you'll watch this and you're going to see some moments that he looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the roller coaster that is dressage, right? Is we get some really good moments and then everything falls apart. And we're like, I forgot how to canter. And that's just,
Like that Grand Prix horse that we watched in the just did not want to go in the arena.
yeah. I
It
mean,
was just bucking or standing and then as soon as it got in the arena relatively decently, and then the guy comes and closes the gate. Oh man, the horse.
yeah. And I mean, we picked possibly the most frustrating hobby in the world, but it's kind of fun when it goes right.
Well, I'll make up for it by going fishing on Monday.
I will say it's mostly fun when it goes right, I should say. Not just kind of fun.